Pennies on the track, make them flat and faceless. Though they bend and though they crack, I put these pennies on the track. I put these pennies on the track, make them worn and worthless. Though they bend and though they crack, I put these pennies on them the way it used to be. I want it back, the secret in my diary. I want it back, your heart before I lost the key. I want it, I want it, I want it back. I put these pennies on the track, make them flat and faceless. Though they bend and though they crack, I put these pennies on the track. I put these pennies on the track, make them worn and worthless. Though they bend and though they crack, I put these pennies on them. The trust before the jealousy. I want it back, the truth before the third degree. I want it back, the way you used to look at me. I want it, I want it, I want it back. These copper coins and this street car, this desire can't buy your love. I want it back, I want it back, I want it pennies on the track, make them flat and faceless. Though they bend and though they crack, I put these pennies on the track. I put these pennies on the track. Rails are cold and graceless. Though they bend and though they crack, I put these pennies on the track. Pennies on the track. I put these pennies on the track.
Well, hello there, Nexus community. On a long weekend, long weekend edition of the Nexus live stream. There's a segment that we've been doing from Steph called Talks with Steph, and we featured it here last week, and it continues this week. We're not putting it in today's live stream, but it is linkable down below in the description. And it will look like this. And Steph's doing some talks with the kids, and it's been going really well. So we'll probably continue to feature those on a weekly basis or so, and those are things that you can tune into anytime you want here on the channel. Today's a musically different day, as you can tell just from that opening. That's a song that you just heard, and there will be another one following, songs from an old, well, feels old anyway to me, CD from 2007 of mine that contains some songs that are, I guess they're kind of, some of them are studies in being what you'd call tried and found wanting, a la, King Nebuchadnezzar in the Bible. So I guess these selections are more cautionary than edifying, maybe, but they set the stage, I think, today for the themes that Brad will explore today. Very likely that this irony here is that the CD label distributor of that CD might block their use here on YouTube, at least in the replay, due to copyright issues, and so they might actually disappear from the replay. So, there's a nice ironic little object lesson for us today in, I don't know what. On the weekend of indulgence, May 24, thank you for indulging me. And there's a link below if you wish to explore this music further. But I'm going to cue up now a song called, well, you'll see it in the title, She Loved Me Like I Love You. Here it goes.
Some things in life we thought we knew, like she loved me like I loved you. Some things we say, some things we do, and she loved me like I loved you. The spell I was under, mystery and wonder of this love. Count the numbers, the signs, the stars above, but one and one's still two. Some things in life we thought we knew, like she loved me like I loved you. Things we say, some things we do. She loved me like I loved you. And oh, when I'd hold her, the room was much colder than before. Said she'd had enough and I needed more, but so did you. Some things in life I thought I knew, like she loved me like I loved you. Some things we say, some things we do. She loved me like I loved you. She loved me like I loved you.
Hey, there you
Hey,
are.
thanks, Dave, for that. That was that's a really beautiful song. So thank you for that.
I left your mic on there so everybody heard you cough.
Oh, oops. Sorry about that, everyone.
But I'll turn it over to you.
Thanks for that. And there is an irony that your own music might get flagged on our live stream here, but yeah, anyway, for those who got to enjoy it, it's nice to hear your full sound, Dave, what it sounds like on a record. So thanks for that. Happy May long weekend, I suppose. It sort of feels like every other day, but yesterday was my favorite pandemic day. Had a good day, so that's good. But right now it seems like the world is collectively trying to figure out a balance and compromise between opening our economies and the jobs and the livelihoods that come with it while protecting our most vulnerable. And so we're sort of culturally struggling right now with how do we open things up? How do we get sports going? How do we get, businesses back open while also protecting those who need protection? And it's an unenviable task, to be sure, trying to figure out how to make that compromise and trade-off. But it has me thinking lately. Many of the hardest decisions we make in life involve trade-offs, compromises. But what happens when trade-offs mean maybe compromising something integral about yourself or your values? For instance, there's some trade-offs maybe we should never contemplate at all. I mean, are there some things that should remain taboo and off limits? And if so, what are they? Is the definition of integrity having some things in life that we refuse to compromise on? And do we lose something when there is a number or a price tag that can buy our convictions or our values or our integrity? Now, in the Nexus Weekly, I sent you a clip from the film Indecent Proposal. And I'm not sure, it's a movie from the 90s, I think. I'm not sure how many of you have watched it. The film is a fascinating exploration of what we might call a taboo trade-off. A dollar figure is placed on something that seems sacred, the fidelity of a marriage in this case. And so in the film, a billionaire played by Robert Redford, he propositions a couple played by Woody Harrelson and Demi Moore. And what he does is he offers them $1 million if he could have one night to sleep with the wife. And that offer is, of course, the indecent proposal. Now, if you haven't seen the film, it's fine. You can make a lot from the one clip I sent you. It's a fascinating think piece. As the billionaire puts it, he says this: $1 million. Now, the night will come and go, but the money could last a lifetime. Think of it. $1 million, a lifetime of security for one night. Now, of course, it's a film, and there wouldn't be much of a story if the couple just flat out said no. So spoiler alert, the couple takes the deal. And the film explores the consequences of that decision. And, well, things get complicated rather quickly. But of the whole film, it is the scene I sent you that fascinates me most. It's brilliantly shot and delivered. And for me, the crux of the action isn't actually on Robert Redford, the billionaire, nor the attractive wife, Demi Moore, because each of them has convictions. The billionaire thinks money can buy anything. The wife disagrees. It's the husband, played by Woody Harrelson, where the real tension and crux of the action is happening. And when the billionaire finally makes the indecent proposal, the reaction and how the scene unfolds, it's electric. Woody's reaction to the question is, first he pauses, and then he replies, "I would assume you're joking." The billionaire responds, "Let's suppose I'm not." And then again, there's a pause. And we can see Woody's character thinking, contemplating, until his wife is the one that jumps in and says her husband would never go along with that. But Woody is still quiet. He only echoes those sentiments when he is pressed on it. And in that moment, in that pause, by merely contemplating the offer, something, it seems, has already been lost. And when you look at the scene, Demi Moore's look at her husband in this moment is sort of, it sums up the reaction of the viewer. Even though in this moment the husband gives the correct answer, in that scene our opinion of him is not very good. And why? Well, he took too long to respond. Why would he even need to think about it? We assume the answer should be obvious and quick. And so for us, the viewer, for his wife in that moment, he had what we might call one thought too many. Because this is the fascinating thing to me. In that moment, he's done nothing wrong, or has he? He's simply entertaining the idea. He's contemplating it. And psychologically, it would seem that this is where a lot of problems start. When we even contemplate the price tag of our most cherished values or convictions, something like a Pandora's box is opened. Curiosity, as it said, sometimes kills the cat. Now, the interesting thing to me is we find a parallel story to this in Scripture. It's a story that's tragic. It oftentimes gets left untouched, but it's really poignant to me. It's the story of Judas betraying Jesus. And notice how the story plays out in the Gospels. In Matthew 26, we're giving a story leading up to this. It goes this way. While Jesus was in Bethany, in the home of Simon the leper, a woman came to him with an alabaster jar of very expensive perfume, which she poured on his head as he was reclining at the table. Now, when the disciples saw this, they were indignant. Why this waste, they asked. This perfume could have been sold at a high price and the money given to the poor. I think this is so important. The disciples are indignant. They're vexed by what happens. And then following that, Jesus proceeds to chastise them. So it goes from indignant to now there's a crack is formed, it would seem. There's a fracture, a disruption in the way these disciples feel about Jesus. They're not exactly happy. They don't exactly have great relational satisfaction with Jesus at this moment. This is not what they thought this whole Jesus movement thing was going to look like. And so there's dissatisfaction, and then this, the very next story. Then one of the 12, the one called Judas Iscariot, went to the chief priests and asked, "What are you willing to give me if I deliver him over to you?" So they counted out for him 30 pieces of silver. From then on, Judas watched for an opportunity to hand him over. Oh, now, of course, we know what happens next. Judas does eventually betray Jesus and hands him over for execution. But this short little passage intrigues me. It's another indecent proposal, you could say. See, at this point for Judas, all of this is still just an idea, a thought. And at this point in the story, Judas hasn't done anything wrong yet, or has he? I mean, he's like the husband in Indecent Proposal. At this point, nothing wrong has happened, just a question asked, a taboo trade-off considered, mere contemplation. He's thinking about crossing a clear moral line, but as of yet, nothing immoral has taken place. But here's the thing for me. It would seem sometimes just asking the question, just entertaining the thought makes us suspect. I think we know this intrinsically that, some thoughts, once they're lodged in our head, they're hard to shake, right? I don't know what it is for you at the moment, but, for me, my kids, their thing right now is they've got this idea of getting a dog in their head. So that question comes up a lot. For me, I feel like I need a new barbecue. The thought came into my head. I can't shake it. But thoughts, once they get lodged in our head, sometimes for good or ill, they're hard to shake. It makes me wonder, what do our thoughts say about us? I'm not talking about those weird thoughts, right, that pop into our heads, those odd things that sort of come and go, things we can easily discard and shake off. No. I'm talking about the ones that linger, the ones that are contemplated and entertained. There's a warning to these stories. Sometimes just asking the question, just entertaining the thought is the start of something more sinister. And I think it raises the question for us, what are we entertaining in our head these days? What are the things that linger, that we contemplate? Because my thinking lately has been this, morally speaking, I think there are some taboos that should maybe remain that way. With morality, some things should perhaps remain black and white. Some lines just shouldn't be crossed or even mentally entertained. There are some places we just shouldn't go. And I think part of what we learn from walking the Jesus path is that faith and morality involves monitoring some clear lines in the sand. Some lines just can't be crossed, and that means mentally as well. You just can't go there. Because I think when something goes from unthinkable to calculable and possible, it's a sign of moral decay. And you remember a few weeks ago, I talked about salvation as a vast landscape that you enter. And I think there's something similar going on with this idea of hell too. Hell can be a vast terrain that we enter as well. And sometimes it starts with just one thought too many. Because if you can think it, you can do it. But why? What exactly is it that makes us toy with lines and convictions and our own integrity, right? Why are we even tempted to put a price tag on them? I've run out of games at home. 10 weeks in, it's getting tough with the kids. Hopefully the nicer weather will help. But run out of board games. We don't have a lot anyway, but I think I told you I taught my kids poker. That hasn't gone well. Evie, every single hand, she goes all in. And surprisingly, sometimes she does very well with that. But every single hand she's given, she goes all in. And anyway, it ends up in tears because she loses it all. And so Kristen was like, I don't think that was a good idea. So I thought I'm going to invent a new game. And so we were in the backyard, and the kids and we invented a new game that we call Steal the Precious Pearl, which is really just a glorified form, I would say, of Steal the Bacon. So there's a ball, one person has to protect it, the other three, like hyenas, have to sort of come in and try and steal it and then get back to a safe place before they're tagged. And it's been a ton of fun. And yet, what I've realized with my kids is everything goes wrong eventually. They end up cheating, lying. And how it happens is generally they'll grab the ball and they're running back to the safe place. Myself or another one of the kids, one of their siblings, will tag them 2 to 3 paces before they're even inside the safe zone. And inevitably it happens. You didn't tag me. No, I got in there safe. And I'm just looking at them like, that was so obvious. You got tagged before you were in the safe zone. And it's been a fascinating to me psychological and moral experiment with my kids. Because I keep asking myself, why do they do that? Why do they lie about being tagged in this silly little game we've made up in the backyard? Because it's annoying, right? You're having fun. Everyone's laughing, having a good time. Then bam, tears, lying, cheating. Why? It's just a game. But here's what I've come to think. When you're a child, winning or losing, even something as silly and inconsequential as a game of glorified tag, it impacts a child's self-esteem. Winning makes them feel special, and losing makes them feel like a loser. And so they compromise their integrity as children in order to build up their self-esteem. If winning builds that up, they're willing to sacrifice some things. If I have to lie to get the win, well, so be it. My self-esteem is on the line here, and that's maybe more valuable than my integrity. And here's the thing. Nothing really changes when we get older. The winning and losing may look different, but we're all tempted to compromise our integrity or treat others badly in order to build up our self-esteem. And so we see the price tag and what it means. For the couple in Decent Proposal, comfort and security was their price tag. For my children, the price tag is self-esteem. For Judas, it was cheap, right? 30 pieces of silver was enough money to maybe tie him over for a few weeks. So it's a small slice of security. So what is it for you? What is it for me? What is your price? Because I'm inclined to think we all have one. Everyone has their price, right? And yet, I saw a film at the beginning of this pandemic, first week or two of it, blew my mind. It just won't get out of my head. It's a Hidden Life. I mentioned it in the weekly. A Hidden Life by Terrence Malick. I would say it's probably one of his most explicitly Christian films. And it serves as a reminder to me that when Christian art is done well, it can actually outshine almost anything. I mean, the film is just absolutely gorgeous. Every frame in it feels like a piece of art. But beyond the visuals, the film tells the story of Franz Jagerstatter, an Austrian farmer during World War II who was beheaded by the Nazis for his refusal to swear the oath of allegiance required of all soldiers. So the story follows that, and he won't do it, and he eventually loses his head. For Franz, there was no price tag on his convictions. But why? I mean, why was this man able to defy the will of every other person in his village and choose death rather than swear allegiance to Hitler? It's a true story, by the way. And, you know, after the film, I love reading critic reviews. One film critic complained that Malick really never explained to us how Franz was able to keep his integrity and remain true to his convictions, even when every other person in the town swore the oath. But the answer to that question isn't cheaply given in the film. It's only available to those, I think, who have eyes to see, because the answer is found throughout the entire film. The church and the cross are the near constant background of the film. In fact, the church and the cross appear in over 100 scenes. And Franz was a lay pastor, and we witness him wrestle intensely with his convictions. But the backdrop of Jesus' cross is what grounds those convictions. And I take the time to watch this film. I mean, you got to be in a bit of a headspace, but the movie is haunting because the question is not posed without stakes. Franz, again, it's a true story. He has a devout wife and 3 children, and there's this palpable tension in the film. He knows what he's sacrificing. He knows what he's leaving behind by remaining true to his convictions. He's going to die and lose his family. And the thing to me is this: the line in question are words, an oath. He can go on to be a medic or a chaplain in the war. He won't ever have to kill someone in war. The question is not, will he go and fight for Nazi Germany? The question is much more benign, it seems. Will you simply swear allegiance to Hitler? Do that. Serve as a medic, serve as a chaplain. You'll never have to fire a weapon. Just say the words. Just swear allegiance. And he won't do it. And the film, it broke me because watching the story play out, I know what my answer would be. I mean, it's one thing to consider and contemplate what the price of our integrity and convictions might be. But it's another thing completely to see a price put in front of you, played out on film, and know you would fail. Know you would compromise. In watching the film, I know almost for certain that losing my family is at least the high end of my price tag. Watching the story, I just kept thinking I would have crumbled. I would have compromised. I would have done it. I would have swore the oath. And the film sort of leaves you crying out, Lord, I believe, but help me in my unbelief. What the film did for me is it reminded me I have a price. And that scares me. Because some sales are final. Some things can't be undone. Sometimes thinking the thought alone can take us to dark places. Sometimes entertaining an indecent proposal can leave us in a regrettable position because some things simply can't be undone. I mean, when we return to the Judas story, we see this tragically played out. Matthew 27, when Judas, who had betrayed him, saw that Jesus was condemned, he was seized with remorse and returned the 30 pieces of silver to the chief priests and the elders. I have sinned, he said, for I've betrayed innocent blood. What is that to us? They replied, that's your responsibility. So Judas threw the money in the temple and left. Then he went away and hanged himself. Judas' regret wouldn't save Jesus' life or his own. Some decisions can't be reversed. Perhaps collectively we're in that time right now, not knowing about how the decisions we make might play out. Might not know personally how the thoughts we're entertaining, how that might play out and not be able to be reversed. And for Judas, that started with a question, a thought entertained, a line he was willing to contemplate crossing, and in the end, it couldn't be undone. And so my questions for us this morning are these. What do you hold as core convictions and values in your life? What is it that defines your integrity? And is there a price tag on that? Are there lines you're considering crossing? What ideas and trade-offs are you entertaining and contemplating? And like Franz, how serious do we take the cross? How deeply do we trust the path Jesus has asked us to walk? For Franz, that path led exactly where it did for Jesus. It led to death, and the stakes for Franz were high, dead with a young family left behind just because he wouldn't say a few words. Now there's conviction. I mean, that kind of conviction and trust to me in Jesus is almost unthinkable. So just how much do we trust this path we travel on? For Franz, it was the unshakable background portrait of everything he did. Is it the same for us? You know, some movies are different than others. Some are on an entirely different plane. They rock you in ways that you didn't expect. And A Hidden Life was one of those movies for me. It's just so rich. And beyond the beauty of the film whispers to you the whole time, everyone has a price. So what is yours? And in watching that film, I found mine. Say a few words to remain alive with my family. Yeah, count out the silver, I'll take it. And again, I know at least now my high end of what I can be bought for. And I shudder to think how much cheaper I might go. Would I compromise for security and comfort? For self-esteem? Maybe I would. Maybe I have already. And so I can only conclude this way. In Mark 9, Jesus is confronted by a father desperate to save his child. And so he cries out to Jesus, if you can do anything, take pity on us and help us. If you can, said Jesus, everything is possible for one who believes. Immediately the boy's father exclaimed, I do believe. Help me overcome my unbelief. His prayer is mine as well. I do believe. Help me overcome my unbelief. wonderful prayer from the Psalms. God is with us wherever we go. Help is available. So, Lord, we believe, help us in our unbelief. It is May long weekend, and we wanted to design a shorter service. I know everybody wants to be outside. The rain's coming, and so I hope you enjoy what you can of this long weekend. And I trust that this week will be, I hope, a good one for us all. And I look forward to connecting with you all again next Sunday. So go in peace.
Lovers under the moon, and lazy crescent curves of my guitar. The scattered decorations all over your room, those phosphorescent tacky paper stars. Tell me, how's that one I picked for me and you, lying there in those final hours? Did my starry-eyed good wish ever come true? Paper glue and magic powers, and I know where you are, and I know this by heart. I'm never very far from those paper bedroom stars. But there comes a time in a daydreamer's life when he must decide at last to be haunted by nights of fond memories, or be hunted by the past. Tell me, was it real, and was it really ours, held up there by our human devices? And underneath that cardboard canopy of stars, we learned of love and what the price is. And I know where you are, and I know this by heart. But never very far from those paper bedroom stars. Gaze through the looking glass at the black summer sky. It's supernova flash from afar, and see the light years pass in the blink of an eye over paper